Wife's cornhole business name, Whole Goals, will humiliate our family. My wife, 34F, is quitting her HR job in January to run her custom cornhole board business full-time. The financial aspects are scary but manageable. The real problem is the business name she chose, Whole Goals. I, 36M, an executive, immediately objected, explaining that the name is a humiliating sexual innuendo, especially given our 14-year-old son's high school peers. She dismissed my concerns, saying I was being immature and projecting, and argued that she's been building this brand for a while, though I thought it was just a hobby. The situation peaked when I saw the official logo she designed in our shared drive, confirming the suggestive nature. She thinks I am not taking her business seriously, but I feel blindsided by this major life change based on an embarrassing brand that will reflect poorly on our entire family. Am I wrong to feel humiliated by this name? Should I just let it go? Or how do I convince her to choose a less suggestive name that preserves our family's dignity without crushing her entrepreneurial spirit? TLDR, my wife, 34F, is launching a full-time cornhole business. I, 36M, object to the name, Whole Goals, because it's a humiliating sexual innuendo that will embarrass our family, especially our teenage son. She thinks I am immature and dismisses my concerns. I need advice on how to convince her to change the name without killing her dream. Son wishes my husband wasn't in the picture, and I agree with his complaints. My husband, 36M, and I, 32F, married a year ago. My 13-year-old son recently opened up, saying he wishes my husband wasn't in the picture because all he does is scroll on his phone and doesn't do anything. He sadly feels it's too late to form a bond. I agree with many of my son's complaints. My husband constantly scrolls on Reddit/YouTube, impacting his engagement with the family. This is rooted in his depression and apathy, but he refuses counseling or medication, which frustrates me after all the work I've done on my own mental health. I have repeatedly told my husband to take the initiative to bond with my son, reminding him that the responsibility lies with the adult. He acknowledges my son doesn't like him but struggles to act. My son asked me not to tell my husband what he said, but I feel I must inform him so he still has a chance to fix things. I need advice on how to approach this conversation without crushing him, causing defensiveness, or breaking my son's trust. TLDR, my 13-year-old son told me he wishes my husband, 36M, wasn't around because he's always on his phone and hasn't bonded with him. I, 32F, agree with the complaints, which stem from my husband's untreated depression. I need advice on how to tell my husband what my son said without crushing him or betraying my son's trust. My mom is a hoarder, living in squalor and in complete denial. I, 29F, recently confirmed my mom, 64F, is a severe hoarder. Her house is rancid and disgusting despite being in a rich neighborhood. She collects junk, keeps spoiled food covered in mold, has mouse droppings everywhere, and dog waste on the floors. I brought this up while helping her move from a large house to an apartment. She refused to give anything away and simply rented a storage unit for items used for over a decade. She is in complete denial, shrugging off the spoiled food and claiming the mess is normal during a move. She tried to blame her ex-boyfriend for the filth. She even laughed that she plans to leave much of her junk for her ex-boyfriend to deal with when she moves out. When I called out this behavior, she scoffed and claimed he was equally to blame. I am beside myself because she is clearly delusional and completely dismisses my concerns. She thinks the work is almost done. I told her I think she has a hoarding disorder and needs professional help, but she laughed it off. How do I effectively address this serious situation with a mother who refuses to acknowledge her disorder? What steps can I take to move forward when she is in such deep denial? TLDR, my mother, 64F, is a severe hoarder, living in a rancid house full of spoiled food and waste, yet she is in complete denial, blaming her ex-boyfriend and refusing professional help. She is moving soon, but just rented a storage unit for junk. I, 29F, need advice on how to address this pathological denial and move forward with her. ML says evil entered the family after we set boundaries. Our premature baby spent a month in the hospital, the hardest time of our lives. During this, my husband's family, ML specifically, showed zero empathy and constantly violated our boundaries, criticizing us and claiming we were ruining the child. When we brought him home, the ML escalated her behavior. She spread rumors that she was banned from seeing him, lied that our son was never sick, and claimed evil has moved into this family because of me. The family suggested divorce, and we were even threatened with eviction by a relative. My husband tried talking to her, but she became defensive, refused to acknowledge her actions, and spread lies that he was aggressive. She even refused to visit unless we brought the baby to her. When we finally cut contact after endless arguments, she told my husband not to send pictures because she doesn't care. We are now planning total distance for Christmas to avoid her manipulative drama. We need a healthy way to enforce permanent distance and manage the fallout from this extreme emotional abuse, especially since she manipulates other relatives, flying monkeys. TLDR, after our premature baby needed hospital care, my ML violated all boundaries, criticized us, and claimed evil entered the family. This escalated to divorce threats and eviction threats from relatives. After cutting contact, she told my husband she doesn't care about the baby. We need advice on establishing permanent distance from this manipulation before Christmas. Loving partner, impossible lifestyle. Should I walk away? I, 24F, have been with my boyfriend, 25M, for 5 years. We love each other deeply, and he is a loyal, good man, but our lifestyles are fundamentally different. He is highly introverted, avoids social events, does not drink, and wants a simple, routine life. I am more social. I enjoy going out occasionally and drinking moderately. He has made it clear that this is a complete non-negotiable. He cannot accept a partner who socializes or drinks, even occasionally. The only compromise he offered was for me to hide it. Furthermore, he and his family plan to move permanently to South India, a distant region, while I prefer our current city. Our long-term geographical and social expectations are completely misaligned. We don't fight, but I am terrified of losing myself if I stay and have to suppress core parts of who I am. I must decide by the end of the month whether to marry him or separate. How do I know if these major lifestyle incompatibilities are manageable, or if I should walk away from a genuinely good man before the differences breed resentment? TLDR, in a loving 5-year relationship, my boyfriend, 25M, and I, 24F, have major incompatibilities. He is intensely antisocial / anti-alcohol, and I am social / enjoy occasional drinks. He refuses to compromise, making my social life a deal breaker. He also plans a permanent move to a distant region. I need advice on whether to stay and suppress myself or leave before resentment sets in. Is my partner's cold, transactional financial behavior normal? I, 29F, and my partner, 29M, have been together for 4.5 years. I feel deeply unsettled by his financial behavior. 6 months ago, I moved into his apartment to care for him full-time after major surgery. I cooked, cleaned, administered medication, and supported him for weeks. Despite this, he immediately charged me half the rent via Splitwise, even though I was sleeping on a mattress. This felt extremely cold and dismissive of my caregiving role. The situation escalated when I traveled for a conference on a work-paid Airbnb in Italy. He flew out to join me. While there, he charged me for groceries and, during his first post-surgery restaurant meal, drank half my coffee but didn't offer to pay for anything. This made me feel completely unseen and nickel-and-dimed. After a huge fight, he begrudgingly paid for a 5-day trip, which he later referred to as thanks for my caregiving, as if my emotional labor was a settled debt. When I was broke, he pressured me for a 3rd month of rent, insisting I pay 50% because I lived in the flat as much as he did. Today, he earns twice my salary, but he uses our joint account for all his personal purchases, including supplements. Meanwhile, he frequently questions my small expenses of $30 to $40 from the same account. He never pays for dates from his personal money anymore. I feel emotionally exhausted, used, and financially controlled. Is this transactional behavior normal, or is this a deep incompatibility that indicates it's time to leave? TLDR, I, 29F, was my partner's 29M full-time caregiver after surgery, but he charged me half the rent for my temporary stay. He later charged me for meals while benefiting from my work-paid trip, then claimed a later trip settled the debt for my caregiving. Now he earns 2 times my salary, uses our joint account for his purchases, but questions my small expenses. I feel unseen and financially controlled. Is this normal? Is it valid to be upset my boyfriend likes his girlfriend's thirst traps? I, 18F, have been with my boyfriend, 18M, for almost 4 years. Our relationship is generally healthy. Since we went to separate colleges, he has made new friends, including a couple of girls who are very nice to me and respect boundaries. However, these girls are very different from me in style and personality, and they tend to post a lot of thirst trap photos. My boyfriend always likes all of their posts. The only reason I'm upset is that sometimes he doesn't like some of my posts, but he somehow always likes all of theirs. I know I'm supposed to support other women, but this behavior makes me feel self-conscious because their posts are focused on revealing photos, and they look and act differently than I do. I feel like I'm just being insecure, but I can't shake the feeling that his selective liking is sending a message. Is it valid for me to be upset that he prioritizes liking their sexually suggestive content over supporting my own posts? TLDR, my boyfriend, 18M, of 4 years, always likes the thirst trap photos posted by his new female friends, who look and act differently than I do. The problem is he sometimes skips liking my posts, making me feel self-conscious and unappreciated. I'm wondering if my feelings of being upset or insecure about his selective liking are valid. I lied to my mom for privacy. Now I feel guilty about detaching guilt. I, 25F, am financially independent and live alone, but I visit my mom, 59F, often, and we usually talk 3 to 4 times a week. I love our close relationship, but it's become too close as I've gotten older. Last week, I spent the whole week with a new guy I like. I needed privacy, so I didn't contact my mom much, simply telling her I was busy. I didn't think the lack of contact would be a big deal. However, when I called her yesterday, she was clearly angry and upset. She aggressively questioned me about my activities all week and made me feel extremely guilty for not sharing details. I struggle with this. I know I haven't set clear boundaries, but I feel she needs to learn that I have a private life that isn't her business. I feel guilty for lying and for wanting to intentionally create distance, but I value my privacy deeply. How can I detach from her and establish these healthy boundaries without permanently damaging our strong relationship or continuing to be burdened by this feeling of guilt? TLDR, I, 25F, spent a week with a new guy and told my clingy mom, 59F, I was busy for privacy. She got angry and aggressively questioned me, making me feel guilty for wanting space. I feel obligated to share everything but desperately need boundaries. How can I detach from her without damaging our relationship or feeling guilty? I feel like my boyfriend's mom, not his partner. My boyfriend, M20, and I, F19, have lived together for over 2 years, but I handle virtually everything: dishes, laundry, cleaning, and errands. He hasn't helped with chores in 3 months. If I ask him to do one simple thing, like take out the trash, he forgets for days until I eventually give up and do it myself. I also handle all important administrative tasks, appointments, apartment issues. Today, when I asked him to call the office, he asked defensively, "Why can't you do it?" He is extremely irresponsible with money, spending every penny he makes and getting angry when I suggest saving. I've had to pay for major expenses, like his car being towed. While he pays his rent, I feel completely unsupported physically, emotionally, and financially. I start full-time school soon and realize I have no partner I can depend on. I am burnout and losing attraction because I feel like I'm raising him. When I communicate my stress, he gets defensive. Is this weaponized incompetence or am I enabling him? TLDR, I, 19F, am burned out from carrying the entire household and administrative load while my 20M boyfriend is careless and dependent. He refuses chores, is financially irresponsible, and gets defensive. I feel like his mother, not his partner, and I'm losing attraction. I need advice on fixing this enabling cycle before I start full-time school. I can never ask my husband for help without getting yelled at. I, 25F, have been married to my husband, 26M, for 2 years. We have a son, 1M. He consistently earns a higher salary than me, but I feel I can never ask him for help without major backlash. The first instance that comes to mind was 2 years ago. After fixing my car several times and using a credit card for the down payment on a replacement, I broke down, telling him I couldn't afford the latest repair. He yelled at me, calling me financially irresponsible and saying it was my problem to fix, despite the fact that I had bailed him out of financial trouble twice when I was a bartender. I took out a loan, which I'm still paying off. The conflict repeated this morning. As I struggled to scrape 2 inches of ice off my car, I asked him to switch cars since he wasn't working. He agreed, but when I asked him to pull my car out of the driveway so I could get his, he threw a huge attitude. He yelled about why I didn't use de-icer, aggressively threw the scraper, and then acted like I was the one who was mad. This morning made me realize that anytime I ask for help that inconveniences him, it's a problem. But it's no problem for me to run the entire house, work 45 hours a week, and manage our son while he travels. I also recently discovered our savings account is short by at least $4,000, a topic I know is not worth bringing up due to his reaction. I am exhausted by his lack of support and his tendency to twist every conversation to make me the culprit. Do I just leave it, or do I bring up this pattern of disrespect and financial irresponsibility? TLDR, my husband, 26M, consistently yells, blames, or twists the story whenever I, 25F, ask for help or am struggling, e.g., when my car broke down, when I needed help with ice on the windshield. He offers zero support, despite my past financial help to him, and he now has unexplained missing money from our savings. I feel unsupported and blamed for everything. Do I leave it or confront him about this pattern? Husband works himself sick to support us, then I found him crying alone. My husband, 33M, works constantly to support me, 28F, and our twin 3-year-old girls, especially since I can only work part-time due to postpartum mental health struggles. He works extra hours, never complains, and still manages to smile and help around the house. However, he is severely exhausted, sleeping only 3 to 4 hours a night due to work stress and anxiety over our immigration status. No green card yet. I see the quiet weight he carries. Last night, the situation shattered me. He came home late, and I heard soft sobbing. I found him on the couch, absolutely bawling his eyes out. I held him and let him cry, heartbroken. This morning, he acted like nothing happened, kissing me goodbye and leaving for work without mentioning last night's breakdown. I love this man and am terrified he is slowly burning himself out for us. I feel guilty, scared, and helpless. I desperately want to support him the way he supports us, but he won't let himself talk about it or acknowledge the pain he is in. What can I do to help him and get him to open up about the overwhelming stress he is carrying without adding more burden to his load? TLDR, my husband, 33M, works himself to exhaustion, sleeping only 3 to 4 hours a night to support our family while I work part-time. Last night, I found him sobbing uncontrollably on the couch, but this morning he completely denied the breakdown. I'm scared he's burning out due to stress, work, immigration status, and won't let himself accept help. How can I reach him and support him when he refuses to talk? How do I discuss our 7-year sexless relationship without being blamed? I, 34F, Started dating my boyfriend, 37M, 8 years ago. We conceived our daughter after just 1 month. During my pregnancy, I personally avoided sex and he didn't initiate. A month after our daughter's birth, he slept upstairs with a gay male friend who came back from drinks, despite existing rumors he was gay. I was hurt by this and suspected they hooked up. He denied it, claimed I hurt him with my assumption, and I never truly got over it. The sexless pattern continued for months. When I finally asked why, he responded, "I can't get hard, and plus you think I'm gay, so if I can't get hard you will just think it's because of that." I'm not a sex freak. He used this statement to shut down the conversation completely. I gave up and haven't brought up sex since 7 years ago. Most of our arguments end up being my fault. I've never seen him with an erection, and I suspect he may be asexual, but I cannot be in a non-sexual relationship. I am unhappy and embarrassed, even lying to his friends. How can I confront this topic of our sexless relationship without being shut down, blamed, or paralyzed by fear of what he will say? TLDR, I, 34F, have been in a sexless relationship with my boyfriend, 37M, for 7 years since our daughter was born. I suspect he may be gay or asexual, a suspicion fueled by an early incident and his persistent refusal to engage. When I asked about sex years ago, he blamed me for thinking he was gay. I need advice on how to confront this sensitive topic without being shut down or blamed, as I am profoundly unhappy. Girlfriend's constant criticism makes me feel emotionally unsafe. I, 38M, recently failed an important exam, leaving my confidence and self-esteem very low. My girlfriend, 33F, of 6 months is generally supportive, but she is bad with words and constantly makes blunt, critical comments that only worsen my mood. I provide immense emotional support for her, always encouraging her and holding back necessary criticism, which I consider emotional intelligence. She, however, cannot hold back, always blurting out blunt and draining comments. For example, when I forced myself to film content for my business, a huge step for me right now, I mentioned deleting photos due to low storage on my iPhone 13. She immediately asked why I didn't just get a new phone and then asked how cheap I am on a scale of 1 to 10. This was insulting, especially since I pay for all our dates. She also criticized a social media post because my boxing coach had sweat stains, and she frequently zooms in on my pictures to critique every detail. She even told me I was a 7 out of 10 out of nowhere. These criticisms, small in isolation, are overwhelming when I am already struggling just to get out of bed. I feel like I'm fighting for air, and she is pushing my head back underwater. I need equal emotional support, and her behavior makes me feel emotionally unsafe. Is this inability to offer supportive communication a sign of long-term incompatibility, especially since emotional intelligence was a requirement of mine from the start? How do I communicate this need for equal support without making her feel like I am ending the relationship? TLDR, I, 38M, am struggling after failing an exam, but my girlfriend, 33F, constantly criticizes me, e.g., calling me cheap for not buying a new phone, rating my appearance, draining my limited emotional energy. I give her full support, but she gives me constant criticism. I want an equal partnership where I feel emotionally safe, but I don't know how to address this incompatibility without threatening the relationship. Girlfriend using Ombel-style video chat. Should I be worried? I, 18M, am struggling because I saw my girlfriend, 19F, using a video chat site similar to Omegle, like OmeTV or Omega. I saw a screenshot or video in her gallery with her face clearly visible on the screen. When I was younger, I saw inappropriate content on those types of random video chat sites, and I'm scared that she might be exposing herself to something inappropriate or dangerous. My biggest worry is that she might be actively looking for other guys. This makes me feel instantly worried, sad, and angry at her all at once. I feel inadequate, like I'm not doing enough, or that I'm not okay for her, which hurts our relationship deeply. I really need advice on what to do and what to say to her. Is this a valid reason to be worried, or am I overreacting based on past experiences with those sites? How do I approach this conversation without immediately sounding accusatory or jealous? TLDR, I, 18M, saw proof that my girlfriend, 19F, is using a random video chat site, like OMTV/Ongle, with her face visible. I am worried because these sites often feature inappropriate content, and I am scared she is looking for other guys. I feel worried, sad, and inadequate. I need advice on how to talk to her and if my worries are valid. Girlfriend called me cruel for giving sex ultimatum after 2 years of rejection. My girlfriend, 27F, and I, 29M, have been together for 5 years. For the last 2 years, our sex life has been virtually non-existent due to her depression and medication, with sex occurring only twice last year. She repeatedly asked me to initiate sex, but every time I did, I was rejected. When I asked her how she would like me to initiate, she couldn't say. This pattern continued even after booking a romantic weekend trip to celebrate her university qualification. I was rejected again. Upset, I explained that her constant rejection had destroyed my self-esteem. She dismissed my feelings, saying I wasn't being fair and that she couldn't help her depression. I countered that she couldn't expect me to remain in a permanently sexless relationship while constantly being asked to initiate only to be rejected. I pointed out that she refuses to speak to her doctor or therapist about the libido issues, despite mentioning it previously. I told her that sex is an important part of a relationship for me and that I am not willing to go without it forever. I finally gave her an ultimatum. Unless she starts actively working on the issues causing the lack of intimacy, our relationship will end. She reacted by calling me cruel and unfair. Was I cruel? Or was this a necessary boundary after 2 years of emotional dismissal and inaction? I need advice on the healthiest way to approach this situation now. TLDR, my girlfriend, 27F, of 5 years has caused our sex life to become non-existent, twice last year. She repeatedly asks me to initiate but rejects me every time. When I gave her an ultimatum to work on the issue or end the relationship, she called me cruel, blaming her depression despite her refusal to discuss the issue with her doctor. I need advice on handling this situation. Fiancé is making me choose between my professional dance dream and our marriage. My fiancé, 23M, and I, 23F, have been together for 6 loving years, and he is everything I want in a partner. However, there is one non-negotiable conflict: my lifelong dream of becoming a professional dancer. I have been dancing since I was 3, and my desire to pursue this career is growing, but time is running out. My fiancé refuses to compromise on moving from our hometown, citing his desire to raise a family near his relatives. We have had this conversation many times, and it always ends the same way. I cannot pursue my dreams professionally without leaving him. He is even hesitant about me taking opportunities in our hometown, worried I'll be gone too often. I have been suppressing this desire since I was 17, and it is becoming unbearable. Dance is my first love, but my fiancé is the only person I can envision raising a family with. What definitive steps should I take when my biggest dream is the one thing he won't budge on? TLDR, my fiancé, 23M, and I, 23F, are in a 6-year loving relationship, but he refuses to move from our hometown so I can pursue my lifelong dream of becoming a professional dancer. He won't compromise on this boundary. I am torn between suppressing my passion for my entire life and leaving the perfect partner. What do I do? Emotionally drained, she doesn't love me, but won't let me go. I, 20M, have an intense, complicated 5-year bond with a girl, 21F. I was her sole emotional support after an abusive relationship, helping her through panic attacks and depression. She called me her soulmate and said she loved me, but always feared commitment and emotional dependence. A month ago, a new guy, D, entered her life. Since then, she has grown distant. She no longer sleeps on call with me and says she doesn't see a future or love me anymore. Yet, she still calls me her soulmate, wants me on the phone to fall asleep, misses me, and checks if I'm okay. In a recent painful conversation, she said she is pushing me away to free herself from emotional dependence, admitting the new guy feels right because there's no dependency there. After that, she still needed me for comfort that same night. I feel emotionally used, as I gave her years of stability, and she now uses the need for independence to rewrite our history. I am numb and exhausted. I feel like she is using me as her emotional backup while she tests a new relationship. I don't know what to do. Should I stay in contact, hoping she regrets her choice? Or do I distance myself completely, prioritizing my own mental health? Is there any chance she will ever feel the same way again, or should I accept she has moved on emotionally? TLDR, I, 20M, supported a girl, 21F, through severe trauma, developing an intense bond where she relied on me completely. She recently met a new guy and says she doesn't love me or see a future, citing a need for emotional independence. However, she still calls me her soulmate and relies on me for emotional support nightly. I feel used and confused. Should I cut contact completely, or is she just keeping me as emotional backup? Boyfriend upset I can't match his 10 p.m. bedtime. My boyfriend, 35M, and I, 28F, have lived together for a few months, and we have a recurring conflict over bedtime. He demands we go to bed together by 10 p.m. because he needs 9 to 10 hours of sleep. The issue is my sleep condition, which limits me to about 6 hours of sleep. If I go to bed at 10 p.m., I will be awake by 4 a.m., unable to start work or leave the house. I am disabled and don't drive, completely derailing my day. I also require decompression time, reading or relaxing, so midnight is the earliest I realistically feel ready for sleep. When I suggested he go to bed earlier some nights and I join him later, he was furious. He claims that couples must always go to bed together, and he told me that waking up at 4 a.m. should be great for productivity and that I should be happy about it. I feel like I'm losing my sense of what's reasonable. Is it truly absurd that I'm not excited about waking up at 4 a.m. with nothing to do? Is it unreasonable for me to suggest flexible bedtimes when my sleep needs are medically based? How do we resolve this conflict that is based on his rigid expectation versus my reality? TLDR, my boyfriend, 35M, wants us to go to bed together at 10 p.m. every night, but due to a medical condition that limits my sleep, this means I, 28F, would be stuck awake at 4 a.m. every day. When I suggested flexible bedtimes, he became furious, claiming couples must always go to bed together and that I should be happy to wake up early. I need advice on how to navigate this mismatched sleep schedule and his rigid expectations. Boyfriend is severely allergic to my cats. Who is being selfish? My boyfriend, 32M, and I, 32F, are buying a house to move in together soon. The major issue is my 2 long-haired Persian cats, whom I've had for 8 years and refuse to rehome, as he is severely allergic. Every time he visits my current place, he suffers despite my deep cleaning and keeping the cats out of the bedroom. He now insists he cannot live with the allergies forever and is extremely annoyed. The problem is his refusal to compromise. I have asked him repeatedly to take an antihistamine, but he refuses any form of tablet, even when ill, saying he can't take medication forever. He has told me to rehome my cats, but my mother won't take them, and I won't give them up. We are at a total stalemate. Is it unfair of me to ask him to live with severe allergies until my cats pass away? Or is his rigid refusal to try any medical management, like non-drowsy pills or natural options, the selfish issue? TLDR, my boyfriend, 32M, and I, 32F, are moving in together, but he is severely allergic to my cats, whom I won't rehome. He refuses to take any form of antihistamine or tablets, claiming he can't live with the allergies forever. I need advice on whether I am being selfish by prioritizing my cats, or if his refusal to try medication makes him the selfish one. Boyfriend dismisses blatant flirting, makes me feel like I'm just jealous. My boyfriend, 26M, and I, 24F, have been together for 2 years. While I admit I get jealous sometimes, I only speak up when I feel genuinely uneasy. He is a naturally warm guy, and most female friends are respectful. However, a few girls are blatantly flirtatious, staring, hovering next to him, and acting lukewarm toward me. When I initially bring it up, he insists he doesn't see it, dismissing my feelings as insecurity. This hurts, but it crosses a line when he continues to give special attention to these particular girls rather than reassuring me. He seems to dismiss my feelings just to avoid awkwardness with strangers. I just want him to acknowledge what is happening and set subtle boundaries. I pushed him again, and he finally admitted he did notice the blatant flirting, but thinks people do that kind of thing. I explained that it hurt deeply that he lied and made me feel irrational when he actually saw it. I don't understand why he can't simply acknowledge that his friendliness can read as flirting, and that it makes me feel less special when other women pick up on that signal. I need advice on how to make him understand that his denial and refusal to set boundaries hurt me more than the initial flirting. TLDR, I, 24F, am self-aware about my jealousy, but some women are blatantly flirting with my boyfriend, 26M. He initially lied and said he didn't see it, dismissing my feelings. He finally admitted the flirting, but doesn't think it's a big deal and continues to engage with them. I need advice on how to make him acknowledge that his denial and refusal to set subtle boundaries are what truly hurt me. BF of 8 years forbids me from traveling to NYC with my best friend. My boyfriend, 25M, and I, 24F, have been together for 8 years, but he is refusing to let me go on a planned trip to New York City with my 5th grade best friend. He claims that if I go, it means I value friendships over respecting their partner, and he threatens to break up with me, stating that the only thing that will happen is me cheating on him. This is deeply hypocritical, as he has been unfaithful multiple times himself. My friend, who is my only close friend, has a place in Connecticut, and we plan this trip before we both start demanding new jobs, nurse, and police academy. He hates when we even go out to dinner together, largely because he has virtually no friends and relies entirely on me. I told him that after graduation, I want to travel more, sometimes with him and sometimes with my friend. He has a serious issue with me doing anything without him, even driving 2 hours to the beach. He makes me feel crazy for wanting a normal, separate social life. I look at other women in relationships who maintain their independence, and I feel intensely jealous. His behavior is controlling and weird. Do I respect this boundary, or is this a severe pattern of control that demands serious concern? TLDR, my boyfriend, 25M, of 8 years forbids me, 24F, from taking a trip to NYC with my best friend, claiming I will cheat and that I don't respect him. He threatens to break up with me if I go, despite his own history of cheating and his lack of friends. I feel controlled and crazy for wanting a normal social life. Is this a boundary to respect or a major red flag?